Hi everyone and welcome to another of my videos. Okay, crew safety training on river cruise ships. About video. So I'm going to try to cover the whole thing there is, and of course I'm going to compare quickly that how that works on the big ships as well. The things that you need to know, the duties, the drills, the inspection, which you don't really, but I'll mention it as well, which are the doors, the fire doors, the watertight doors and the alarms and everything, all there is to know really. But it's going to be a quick one because it's not really all that sophisticated as on the big ships. So okay, what's the story between the big ships and the small ships, river cruise ships? So the river cruise ships are not allowed to go in open waters like in the sea or in the ocean, of course. They only can be on rivers. Some cruise ships can manage like Amazon rivers, or some are the coastal ships as well. They actually go in open waters, but they also do the cruise on rivers as well. So they're kind of medium-sized ships. So on the cruise ships itself, it's International Maritime Organization. There are rules that within 2 weeks you need to pass the training. The fire safety training, crowd management, all kinds of these things, and you need to do it in 2 weeks. That's on the cruise ships. On the river cruise ships, it's not actually governed by IMO. Of course, there are country rules as well, which you need to follow, and I'll mention what's happening on the inspection as well. So prior training, do you need any prior training, STCW or no? Actually, that does not comply to the ships and rivers. The only prior training they might actually get one is when the pre-season meeting is for the, let's say for the heads of departments like reception manager, housekeeping manager, hotel director or cruise directors. Then they do a basic Red Cross first responder, medical first responder training, which is valid there for 2 years, and company pays for it. And it was only 3 hours. All we had, apparently, it was supposed to be like about 90 minutes or 2 hours, in 3 days, but we did like in one. So I had that as well. That's like a prior training, first medical response. That lots of people are returned, and there was no test, and you have many people, all the heads of the departments pretty much. Final test? No, there was no final test. And that's why taking notes that would a little bit awkward. I know that on big ships I was taking notes that there's other good people, good few, and then a training, coxswain training, when you actually drive a lifeboat, then actually pretty much everybody was taking notes, and there was a verbal test and there was a written test as well. But on the river cruise ships there's no test. I was on 4 companies, so don't worry about it. Lance training, yeah, it was captain. It's the first captain, the second captain usually, or the third Steuermann. That's a German for a navigator driver, and basically it's going to be second captain usually, and that's like 90 minutes, and then you cover everything like 60 minutes, I think, 90-60 minutes, and not more than that. Right, so what's in the training? So watertight doors. So of course on the bottom deck there's watertight doors. You close the seal off if the water doesn't flood in a ship on a collision or something like that, if the whole of the ship is damaged. So you close the doors to show you how they work, which buttons to press. Of course, on a bridge where the captain is wheelhouse, they can close the watertight doors as well, or you can close it manually on the level, and how they close them, or how you can manually open them, and what's the exits you can use. There's always one way that goes up to the open decks on the top, so it's not sealing really the whole department off. Fire protection doors, yeah, well that's normal, that's understandable. That's a fire protection doors. They are on deck 2 and 3 usually, not on bottom one, and that's for a fire, and of course how they close and how they work as well. Evacuation plans, yeah, correct. So on every single deck there's evacuation plan. That's where you can escape from hazard of some sort of, and they should be on every deck. So that's kind of where they are and what's in them. So the captain is going to tell them. Silent alarms, yeah, there's some buttons in let's say in in the sections for the crew, like crew corridors, and they also are in like housekeeping storage rooms, and you can enter them and press the button, so the bridge is going to be alerted. And I think there's alert as well at the reception or a hotel director's office. So that's kind of an alarm to sound the alarm if you find something that's a silent alarm, so it doesn't really go all over the ship. So it's just for the senior officers to be alarmed. Emergency announcements, correct? Emergency announcements are there, and they are usually like are within the there's like two main ones. Of course, one is for a fire, and the other one is men overboard, or there's a medical emergency as well. But medical emergency is not like that much. It's more for hotel director and heads of departments to know that. So they also use the code that can be crew alert alpha, crew alert beta, which is actually in a code, so we understand what's the emergency is, so the guests are not alarmed and there's no mass panic. And that's like two of them, and they're gonna tell them what they are, and you just need to remember. Safety duties and drills, correct. So safety duties, your manager is gonna take you to the department and tell you what's the safety duty. Usually it's like housekeeping goes in cabins and checks if there's somebody in a cabin, so they must be empty. The same at night, the auditor does that as well for the crew cabins. Receptionist usually has a checklist, and then all these people who come to reception, they need to report to the guest service. And the firefighting, that's done by sailors. They actually have the full equipment and protective clothes and masks and oxygen and all that. And then the other sort of thing that can happen is men overboard. So it's pretty silly actually. They put this inflatable flamingo in the water, and they try to actually fish it out of the river. That's pretty cool. And yeah, the drills happen every 2 weeks usually, or sometimes even less, and that's usually fire drill or men overboard. So there's no medical emergencies, to be honest. There is a code for medical emergencies, but that's like it's like first responders are there, and then you just call the ambulance to assist the guest, and ship's just going to stop somewhere on emergency just for doctors to get on board. And so that's about the drills, and that's about safety duties. The safety duties, yeah, the head of the department is going to tell you what there is. You usually get a card of what to do in every emergency. It says fire alarm and all this, so you do that. And yeah, there's a guest drill as well, which is very simple. So whenever the people come on board, you need to have the drill on the first day before you set sail. On exceptions, it can happen the next day as well, but usually that you do the drill. So guests go to cabin, you make an announcement, then you sound the alarm, and then guests go to the lounge, and receptionists are just ticking off the list, and of course housekeeping is checking if there's somebody still in cabins. I'm not too sure if they do it on the guest drill, to be honest. That's and receptionists are ticking off the list who is there. So the guests go to the open deck, on the sun deck on the top, or either they collect them in they all come together on the lounge as well. And it's nothing like on a big ship, so it's not good 90 minutes for all the crew. Thousands of passengers go to the muster stations, which are around the ship, and this is a smaller event, and it's only up to 200 passengers. So it's not going to be very long or anything like that. So this kind of like covers all the drills and all whatever there is in a training. Water police and ships inspection, yeah, let's go. That can happen. I was actually a receptionist, but the ship travels the nights, and they take turns. So there's a few hours, one captain, the second captain, and the third person, or Steuermann, or the third captain, actually they drive the ship to the next port, and that happens in evenings or overnight. So at the day, you're probably not going to see a captain. He's going to be sleeping, one or both of them on. There's going to be some sailors for security just in a wheelhouse. So, but the police, they actually need to check the patents. Patents are actually, well, let's say that's like a driver's license, and you get a patent for Rhine River, you get a patent for Danube River, so it's like two patents, so you actually drive the ship there, and you license to do it. So, but that's usually in the captain's cabin, and you're not going to see them. Basically, you're just going to go around with the water police. They're going to check. They're going to check if there's some protective equipment, like and if there is these evacuation plans, it needs to be on every single deck. So you're just gonna do a tour on a ship and show them what there is. That's like very basic when that's actually what happens. Some funny things, yeah, well, you get to know the captains really well, and you actually know them as well, and basically, yeah, well, the captain was funny. If something like this happens, he says, a fire or anything like that, I'm just gonna drive the ship on a land, on a sand on top, so nobody's gonna get wet feet. Or maybe even, and he said, okay, in the worst situation, what can happen on the River Rhine, in the deepest point, you just go to the bar, and it's gonna go in a bar, which is like deck 2. Deck 2, and that's gonna go only till the lamp size, so the ship is not gonna really sink totally of all this altogether. So it basically some sort of such a thing, emergency, cannot really happen as it happened with Costa Concordia, as the big ships on ocean, where the people actually lose lives. This is very, very rarely when something like this can happen. Yeah, and the other captain was Rainier. He was cool as well. He was like, I was a cruise director, and he was like, no, just don't say what the cruise director, the other one, was actually saying. I've been here for 2 years and nothing really happened. So this is actually very important, and cruise director does the training for the guests. They say the things, what there is, what they're not to do. I'll make a video about that later on, but this kind of covers the whole training, so don't be worried. It's not as strict or so many things on the big ships, of course, so this kind of covers the whole thing, and a little bit from my experience as well, which I wanted to actually share. So, well, that actually completes the video itself. I would say thank you as always, thank you for watching, and I'll hope to see you on the next one. Thank you.